It is now 5:27 here at Newstalk ZB. Well, Occupy protesters around the world are gradually being moved on by authorities, with courts ruling against them. Back here in New Zealand, there have been polite requests to protesters to move on, but have so far fallen on deaf ears. Now, in Aotea Square, there's speculation that the protests are costing the ratepayers up to $200,000 thus far. To talk about this, Auckland Councillor George Wood is with me. George, good evening to you.
Good evening, Larry.
Is that correct? It's cost ratepayers a couple of $100,000?
Oh, I'd say it's cost us in the vicinity of that. The security and fencing and all the other minor things we've had to do.
And what, $20,000 a week on security guards? Why is the ratepayer paying $20,000 for security guards for these people?
Well, I think that kind of stemmed from the Rugby World Cup, when these guys refused to move or refused to retrench back and leave some room for the Rugby World Cup celebration. So they started at that stage, and it's just carried on. Maybe I think they're also trying to obviously prevent them from moving across and going on to the last vestige of public grass down there, which is still being used by people during the lunchtimes.
Now, council have what? They have asked the protesters to move. Is that the latest?
Yep, the council's been visiting them, I think, twice a day, virtually ever since they arrived, and talking to them and seeing everything's okay. But now they've changed their tune and they've moved up a notch. They've issued them with a letter saying, "Please leave." And I understand that's they've got a negative reply for that, so
okay.
They're now looking at the next step, which I think is a trespass notice they'll issue to them. I don't know which ones, but they'll obviously pick out certain people there and they'll start the process off.
Hard to understand, hard to figure out all this, why the council's tiptoeing around the issue. I know there's 8 councils that have wanted action, and Wall Street, the occupiers, they've been moved on after a Supreme Court ruling.
Yep, and I'm just standing looking from the council building, looking down on it at the moment, and you know it's pretty sad actually. After nearly 5 weeks of them there, I don't know what they're gaining or what they're getting out of it, Larry. They're just milling around, and there's not a lot of them there really. And
what they leave at night? Do they? They go away at night?
Well, that's what people suspect. I mean, there's 75 tents down there. Well, I can't believe that the number of people down there at the moment would be occupying the 75 tents. I think it's just a ruse to cover the area and just be really cause a real nuisance value.
Do you know what the council's advice is on a trespass notice? Because police in Dunedin, as we all know, have refused to actually move them on under the Bill of Rights.
Oh, I think the council is going to look at the trespass notice. If that doesn't work and if they just thumb their nose at that, well, I think the council will then hopefully head off to the High Court to get the necessary court order to tell them to clear the area, which will also give the police some authority to be there and make sure that nothing happens. I suppose the council will have to get people in there to assist them to remove the tents and other paraphernalia and just clean the area up.
Paraphernalia, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
More cost for the ratepayers.
Yeah, look, I mean, the real problem at the moment, Larry, is that these guys have been banging stakes and poles and pegs into the ground down there, and that's a pretty fragile area, because below there is the civic car park, and there's a membrane to stop the water getting down into the car park. Well, that's one area that's going to be of concern when they decamp eventually. And the other thing, of course, is the grass, and I think it's about $47 a square metre to regrass that area, so it's not going to look too good for the rest of summer.
George, thank you for coming on the program and updating us on this. I appreciate it. That is George Wood, Auckland Councillor.